welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. So my name is Maren Donovan, and I'm from Zirtual. And I will be interviewing and chatting with Bastian from Postmates.
Hey, guys.
And Oisin from Handy.
Hey.
So for the next 15 minutes, we're going to be discussing the key challenges and also opportunities in the on-demand economy. But before we get started, I'd love for you guys to tell me a little bit about your business right now, where it is, the brief pitch.
Yeah, sure. Postmates is an on-demand delivery service. For those of you who don't know it, think of it like a remote control in your pocket. It lets you browse restaurants, retail stores, any merchant in your city. It lets you look at their inventory, purchase items, and have them delivered in under an hour.
Awesome.
So Handy's all about changing the way the world buys services. So you think about every service you need inside your home, from home cleaners to handymen to plumbers, electricians, and it's a real pain in the butt to go through a process to buy those services. You look for referrals, you look online for ratings, and our view is that if you can build a brand that consumers trust, so if you can build an experience where somebody comes to the Handy mobile app, punches in a zip code and says, I need a cleaner tomorrow at 9 a.m., we deliver on that again and again and again and again. So we're live in about 28 cities. We do over 100,000 bookings a month in terms of volume. And our goal is to just deliver every single service into the home.
And right now, you're mostly focused on cleaning or delivering much more than that?
So today, most of the business is cleaning in terms of volume, and that's partially because cleaning recurs. So the majority of our customers are on a recurring cleaning service, but we also do handyman services, we do light moving service, light electrical service, light plumbing as well. So we see the consumer coming in one category like cleaning, doing a lot of bookings in cleaning, and then moving across the categories.
Very cool. I think I used you guys to hang a whiteboard recently.
Did it go
in my
well?
house.
Did it go well?
Yeah, it was really good. Very straight.
That's awesome.
Cool. So the on-demand market obviously is rapidly evolving, and I'd love to know about the evolution of both of your companies, where it started at, what the service offering was, and how you got to the point where you are now. Has the mission changed? Has the service changed? What have these the different things you've learned on the way?
Yeah, I think for Postmates it's actually really interesting. When we started 3.5, almost 4 years ago, the service looked quite different. It would do the same thing. It would deliver goods in your city, but the approach that we had was really a different one. So the first version of Postmates was targeted towards retail stores instead of consumers. And it was an app that if you had a retail store in San Francisco, we signed up around, I believe it was 60 or 80 retail stores. You could have the app running next to your register, and when you would make a sale of maybe a large item from a furniture store, for example, you could use the Postmates app to have that item delivered locally. We talked to stores about this. They all felt like there is a need for a solution that allows them to deliver and ship the things that they sell. So that was our first wedge into the market. What happened is that nothing happened. We gave out the apps, we gave out iPhones at the time or iPads that were connected to the store's Wi-Fi, and we were sitting at headquarters and we were waiting for someone to book a delivery. And there were 1 or 2 a day, but not the volume that all of these stores predicted. So we started calling the stores and we were like, what happened? What's going on? You mean, are you not selling anything? And they said yeah, but it didn't came up, or the customer had a car. So it was it was not a match. But what did happen at the same time is that consumers, so people like you and I, they would download the app and they would try to have an item purchased through the app. So they would enter an address of a store, for example, a Safeway or a restaurant, and they would enter in the description, bring me the following things. And we had to cancel all these orders because, as you can imagine, at that time, there was no payment method that the Postmates, the courier, could use to purchase an item and have it delivered and charge the customer. So we looked at this for a while, and you have on the one hand zero traction on the business you want to create, and you have a lot of people doing something, they're hacking your product. So, I'm German, and for a long time I was like, nein, this is verboten, you're not allowed to do that. But at some point, you just have to give in. So we decided to do a test on one weekend. We had at this time, I believe, 25 couriers in San Francisco, so very small. And we gave them all Visa and MasterCard gift cards. So we went to Safeway, we bought a bunch of them, we distributed them amongst the fleet, and we sent an email out to the couple of thousand people on the mailing list, and we said, this weekend, if you use the hashtag #GetItNow in the item description, the courier is able to purchase the item for you and have it delivered. And we sold, like we had the most traffic we've ever had. We sold, I think it was just under $10,000 of goods over the weekend. So an incredible success out of the gate. And most of what people wanted was prepared food from restaurants that don't deliver. So that was a big shift for us as a company because we basically shifted to the model that Postmates is today and that hopefully some of you know.
Yeah, and it's funny. I think I probably was one of those early users because I remember trying to get food and like typing in and like describing my food and being like, gosh darn it.
Yes.
And now I use it all the time. I order sushi burritos in San Francisco and they Postmate it to me, which also is a great thing that you're allowed to, your runners can skip the line at a lot of places. So it's faster for me to order through Postmates than it would be if I had gone and stood in line myself. What about
I've just learned about this sushi Rito thing. I need to go check it out.
Right? Next time you're in San Francisco, sushi Rito.
All right, I'm sold. So Handy started with the idea that it was really hard to actually get the person there to do the task, and it started with cleaning, and that was 3 years ago. So actually 3 years ago yesterday we celebrated our 3rd birthday on Cinco de Mayo, which is obviously great. But we started with that idea that cleaners were really hard to find and consumers struggled with the scheduling and the booking. And the thing that we noticed along the way was as consumers made the booking again and again, they drifted more and more towards recurring. So they drifted more and more towards automatically being on recurring as the default for what they were looking for. So the biggest shift we've made in terms of the service that we offer to the customer is we've moved more and more customers onto just default recurring cleaning, and that just makes customers happier because they get the service on a regular basis. They don't have to come back and do the search again. That's the biggest thing. On the Service Pro side, we started out with something really simple where all jobs were distributed by text message. So we would send out the bookings to the Service Pros by text message. Since probably about 18 months ago, we've moved all our Service Pros onto a mobile app where it's now 100% driven by mobile app with text message just for reminder. And that's probably the biggest shift we've made on the customer and the supply side over the last 3 years.
It makes it way easier just to handle it that way.
Well, you get much richer information and you can deliver an experience to the consumer so that if you make a booking on Handy, the vast majority of the time, about 80% of the time now, you can go and you can actually see your Handy person arriving before the job. So you can see them much the same way either on Postmates or on Uber, you can see the person arrive.
Yeah, and what I've noticed with the on-demand economy too is that visibility and that transparency, there's something that like, it takes that anxiety level down. You know they're coming and you're like, oh, okay, I can relax now.
It's insane. So we've done a bunch of customer surveys and that 30 minutes before the person is due to arrive has this huge level of angst. So the people are so nervous. It's like on Amazon when they put in the "Where's my stuff" button, people just calm the hell down. It's like, oh, I can see like my stuff is arriving. So taking away that angst in the 30 minutes before the booking just drives down customer contacts, increases customer satisfaction. It just makes everyone happier.
Yeah, that's totally true. I've experienced that. Okay, so obviously this is a topic that's been in the news a lot lately, but let's talk about regulation. In the press recently, the primary criticism is that the on-demand economy takes advantage of its workers by them being contractors. There's just a lot of talk about that. And the issue is that the way the government classifies two types of work, they have, the employee model, which is very specific, and then they have the contract model, which is like on the complete other horizon. My question is, do you see regulation changing anytime soon so there won't be as much tension around this? And if not, how do you balance your business needs and your worker needs with, bureaucracy pretty much?
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of interest around that topic. I think for Postmates, where we're coming from, the cut on the platform is actually very clear. We have the largest on-demand delivery fleet, 10,000 people doing deliveries in 24 cities, and the overwhelming majority of them is doing it part-time. It's a few hours that they put in. I mentioned it earlier this week. We think that Postmates is America's greatest part-time job. We're doing it in the office. I know that a lot of people doing it that do have another job. We have people that work for startups doing delivery, students. They all value flexibility. We're not enforcing specific times on the platform. We're not enforcing an acceptance rate. So I think for the model, how we're operating at Postmates, I think it is very clear that these are independent contractors and providers to the platform. In the condensed form, it's the most equitable market that you can create. It's a person requesting a delivery and a person that has the capability of delivering that item.
So do you even want to see regulation change to make like maybe a third option, or right now you're like, it's fine how it is?
Well, I think at this point it is almost inevitable that the regulation either changes or that in all the lawsuits that are happening around that topic, that there is some sort of clearer distinction going forward than it is today. The 1099, the contractor agreements and the laws, they were created quite a while ago.
Yep.
I think it's up to the legislation to decide if they're still accurate. But I don't think it's up to the companies operating in that space making that decision.
Yeah. What about you? I mean, do you see your workers as are they similar? Are they part-time? Are they very is it people making extra money, or are they taking multiple gigs?
Look, I think Bastian's point is right here, that we didn't create this dynamic where you've linked employee classification to benefits and taxation. That was something that was created a very, very long time ago. So let's acknowledge to start with that the current companies didn't create the legislative framework in which we're operating.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean that we can't play a role in trying to fix it. So there's definitely a problem. There's definitely a lot of desire across different companies to participate more in helping the contractors on the platform live a better life. That's definitely a core belief that I think most of the people, if not all of the companies running these businesses that provide income opportunities to contractors feel. So anything we can do that gives better access to healthcare, better access to employee benefits, better access to an improved taxation environment makes sense for us. So if that requires us to drift towards a third category, that's something I think a lot of the people in the space would be interested in. In the current environment, absolutely, we view them strictly as independent contractors. We make sure that we follow the law exactly as it's written today, and we feel confident that that's the right thing to do.
And do you feel like it makes it harder to do the best for the business and for your workers without that third option?
Look, there are definitely things we would like to have the opportunity to look at doing today that would improve the experience for our contractors that we do not do because of the legislative environment that exists.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely, we would be able to do more things for our contractors.
So it is a pain point.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
It's a pain point. We're operating within the confines of the law, and we're very confident that we're in compliance.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes perfect sense. I mean, we moved from independent contractors to employees about a year and a half ago because the way our business runs is we need employees who are on 9 to 5. So it made sense for us, and the change was a really good thing. But at the same time, it's always kind of frustrating seeing that different companies will pop up that clearly really obviously fit into the independent contract model, but the bureaucracy and the regulations now don't allow it for you to do certain things for your workers that would actually make their lives better, and
it would deliver
benefit.
a better experience for the customers as well.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I mean, we have over 10,000 contractors on the platform. We want to make sure we deliver the best experience for the customers, best experience for the contractors, and if that comes through a third way of doing things, of course we're open to it.
It'll be interesting to see. Bastian, you mentioned that I think a week ago, you mentioned the on-demand delivery market. It's not a winner-take-all, you said, but it's a winner-take-most.
Yeah.
How do you, can you expound on that, and how do you see that playing out for you, and also the different on-demand delivery companies that pop up that are very niche-specific, like I'll deliver a sourdough loaf or something like that?
Yeah. So what I meant by that is that obviously us being in the space for 3.5 years, it took us a really long time to figure out how we can scale the company. So just to give you guys some idea, and I'll try to stay within the few minutes that we have so that Oisin has some time. When we started, it took us 116 weeks to get to 500,000 deliveries. That's over 2 years. And in that time, we were mostly in 1 or 2 cities. And the growth from then on really kicked in. After these 116 weeks to get to 500,000 deliveries, it took us 20 weeks to get to 1 million deliveries, 10 weeks to get to 1.5 million deliveries, and a bit over 7 weeks to get to 2 million deliveries that we reached last week. We're now in 24 cities, and what we see is that if you're able to enter key cities fast, and if you're able to get your flywheel, your operations going, and have an infrastructure settled in a city, that's very defensible. A specific volume on the platform, relationships that you have with merchants from the bottom up or from the top down, partnerships that we have with Starbucks, with Chipotle. A lot of the largest brands in the world use Postmates to be part of the infrastructure and to partner with us. And a lot of these things together make a very defensible product. So while the first mover advantage doesn't guarantee that there's just one player, if you lock in supply from the bottom and great partnerships from the top, you can carve out a piece of the market that in all likelihood ending up the largest piece.
And so with the startups that are very hyper specific and they're on demand or in the delivery space, do you see them just going away or getting eaten up by bigger companies like yours? Do you see that specificity like as a need?
I mean, I'm not running their business, so I don't know. There's in any market there's like a niche that are really interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe players concentrate on a specific niche in the market. There will definitely be some consolidation, as far as I'm concerned, amongst the companies that exist in the market.
But you're not going to build $1 billion company delivering specifically like baguette sandwiches or something. You have to be able to expand.
Maybe Sushirito.
Huh? Maybe Sushirito.
Maybe.
No,
Sushirito.
probably not.
Yes.
What about with the cleaning and the home services? Like, who do you see as your biggest competitor right now?
Look, I think if you go back to the legislative question and you say, look, that's about delivering the best experience, scale is about delivering the best experience as well. Mm-hmm. So customers and service pros want to be on the platform with the most availability. So customers drive bookings, bookings drive service pros drive availability, and that in turn drives more bookings. So it's a classic network effect business where the customers want to be on the platform with the most booking, or the most service pros because they can get a cleaner at the time they want, and the service pros want to be on the platform with the most bookings because they can work whenever they want to work. And that for us is kind of what's allowed us to get to a place where we're 4x bigger than anyone else in the category in cleaning, simply because it is a winner takes most, to use your phrase. It is a winner takes most model in each single vertical. If you then layer in across the different verticals and you say, okay, why'd you start with cleaning? It's because it builds brand and trust and credibility, and you see people gravitating across these other categories as well, which just makes the math on acquisition costs for customers and LTV of the customer just so much more compelling.
So how much bigger how far do you need to put distance between yourself and, let's say, whoever the number 2 on-demand cleaning service is, before you're comfortable to say, okay, now we're going to move into another part of really servicing your home?
So I think it's less about how big you are overall, because this is a very local business. It's about how big you are in each individual city.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's really important to be X multiple bigger, and for us that's probably 3 to 4 times. So once you're 3 to 4 times bigger than anyone else in the category in a specific city, you see the cleaners in particular migrating across from other platforms because they simply don't get enough work on those other platforms. And that's kind of the magic number for us, is 3 to 4 times bigger than any other player in a particular city, in a particular vertical.
Yeah, so I mean, it's almost a winner-take-all kind of scenario eventually.
I think there are going to be these niche players to do specific things, and I think you're going to see that, whether it's, I don't know, very, very, very high-end white glove or whatever it might be. So I think there are always going to be specific players around the edges to do, niche things, but overall, I think it's winner takes most.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me, and thank you all for being here. Awesome.
Thanks a bunch.
Thank you.